to talk about some problems today. Okay. So a couple of days ago, my daughter's lawyer called me because the Norman Public Schools lawyer was unhappy with my social media. And because they're unhappy with my social media, I'm going to do them a favor, and I'm going to give you lots of evidence today of all the things that have been in the regular media about Norman Public Schools and the sexual predators that have been working there for a few years. Since they found it so offensive that I was talking about it, I'm going to talk about it a whole lot, and I'm going to give you articles. All right? So let's begin by saying that on almost 1 year ago, September 29, 2018, my daughter, along with 23 other fifth grade girls, were in a very serious school bus crash. The bus rolled over. The principal that was driving that bus was cited for unsafe speed and faulty evasive measure. This means basically he caused the crash. I have been fighting to get the video from inside that school bus released, not the kids, just cameras 1 and 2, so that you, as parents, can know what caused that crash, and that you will know the actions of the adults we entrusted our children with immediately after that bus stopped rolling. Once that video is released, all of this becomes a non-issue because you can then make informed consent about the people you trust your children with. But you see, every single day we send our kids to school trusting the adults, and we trust that if improprieties such as physical abuse, sexual abuse, rape are in fact reported to the school administration, they will in fact take corrective action and make sure that children are safe. I trust my school district to protect children, or I did. So I think that as parents we have that right. So here we go. We're going to start with one of the most recent ones, okay? And it's this one right here. This is an article from KFOR, July 17, 2019. Oops, sorry. Norman educator arrested after being accused of drugging and raping a woman. All right. This was actually the assistant principal at Norman High School. And it goes on to say that he drugged and raped a victim, and the other victims could still come forward, and others have, by the way. One of the victim's own daughters, who is, I believe, a preteen or an early teenager, has come forward saying that while she pretended to be asleep, this man molested her. And so he is one. He is a Norman educator who has been arrested and charged with drugging and raping women. And you say, well, women, not children, but a child has come forward now. Okay, so there's number one. And look, here's another one, also from Norman Public Schools. Oklahoma teacher arrested for soliciting sex with a child on Craigslist. Joseph Leon Love, 25, was charged in Canadian County with attempted lewd acts to a child under 16, possession of child pornography, unlawful possession of controlled drugs with the intent to distribute, and unlawful possession of drug paraphernalia. After they responded to his post on Craigslist, he thought he was meeting with an underage male for the purpose of sexual intercourse. Love was a teacher assigned to Longfellow Middle School in Norman, Oklahoma. This was his first year. There he is. Okay. Now it goes on to say, Norman Public Schools statement, student safety is a priority for Norman Public Schools. We were informed today by the El Reno Police Department of charges being filed against a temporary teacher assigned to Longfellow Middle School, and we are cooperating with investigators. We have received the employee's resignation prior to the district's recommendation for termination, and he is no longer employed with the district. The district will soon make appropriate Oklahoma State Board of Education notifications. There you go. So this one was a Norman employee. Okay, now let's go back because there's more. And here we go. So this one was a few years ago, but it's still Norman, so we're going to read it. Cleveland County prosecutors filed charges Wednesday against a suspended science teacher and former girls basketball coach at Norman North High School, accusing her of having an inappropriate relationship with a 16-year-old female. She was charged with 2 counts of forcible sodomy and 2 counts of rape by instrumentation. And this one was on Fox News. Okay. So there's another one. Now here's an interesting one, okay? So let me give you a little backstory. My kid is one of the victims in this one. So let me tell you what happened. After the trauma our family went through last year, part of which was the bus crash, part of which was my husband's TBI, one of the teachers at Norman High School started grooming and then emotionally abusing one of my daughters. And the reason why was because this Norman High School teacher was in love with my daughter's best friend, who they're now dating, but they were not dating at the time. And so she told countless of her students that she needed to find the courage to tell him that she was in love with him, that she loved him. At one point, she pulled my daughter aside and threatened her that she had better never come between her and this male student because what they had together was special. The police were involved. The teacher was at first, and by the way, my daughter didn't have anything to do with the initial suspension. It was the male victim who did. His family took the text messages to the school. She was suspended on the spot and pending the investigation. She was told one thing: no contact. She immediately started contacting the students, trying to control the narrative. So she was in fact fired, okay? Later, the investigation went on. She showed up at my daughter's work on 3 occasions. We had to change my daughter's car so that she would not know when my daughter was at work or wasn't on work. This woman was so unstable that she groomed, harassed, and abused 3 students, one of whom was my own daughter. Here's the public release by Norman Public Schools, okay, for that incident. Former Norman teacher accused of sending inappropriate messages to student. First of all, there were 3 victims, and it wasn't just inappropriate messaging, it was actually abuse, harassment, and soliciting a relationship with an underage child. Well, actually, the truth is I don't know that he was underage the whole time, because I know Tatum turned 18. Oh, sorry, my daughter turned 18 in the middle of that. But I do know that it doesn't matter if you're a teacher to student. It doesn't matter how old you are. So it says a teacher was fired after Norman Public School officials investigated the allegations that the teacher had sent inappropriate text messages to a student. According to district officials, they received a report several weeks ago about the inappropriate behavior. The teacher was suspended pending an investigation conducted by the district administrators and law enforcement. They go on to say, we do not tolerate this behavior and we appreciate the parents and students who brought the situation to our attention. We remain steadfast in our commitment to protect students. We remain steadfast in our commitment to protect students. Then why is the person responsible for crashing that bus and abandoning the children and committing financial fraud still in charge of children? Tell me that. Tell me that. And why is it you're harassing me and my First Amendment rights to free speech when all I'm trying to get you to do is do the right thing? Explain this to me. They're not, in my opinion, they are not committed to the protection of students. And I don't care if they're happy or unhappy with me screaming. Had you done the right thing in the beginning, we would not be here. This is all on you. You chose to not protect our children. This is on you. Let's be clear. And if I have to get on Facebook, if I have to take my tripod and go stand in front of the school administration and do live videos every single day screaming about it until action is taken, by God, that is what I will do. Why? Because my daughter is profoundly messed up because of that bus crash. I have to deal with the fallout of it every single day while you issue press statements like this lying about what really happened in a situation. So now let's get to the one that is the craziest out of all of them, okay? Please follow me here. This will tell you there's a problem. Norman molestation arrest brings cover-up allegations. Sorry, hold on. Trying to get it in focus here, sorry. Well, that didn't work. All right, I'll read it to you, then I'll try it again. Just listen to this. The Valentine's Day arrest of a former Norman teacher's aide on a lewd molestation charge has some parents fuming. Parents say for more than a decade, they have warned Norman school administrators and local police about violent and inappropriate conduct toward children by Christopher Ray Flores while he was a teacher's aide at Norman's Wilson Elementary School. They claim their complaints were ignored and covered up. Really? Huh. You have another Sandusky event, said Norman parent Christopher Russo, referring to former Penn State University assistant football coach and convicted child molester Jerry Sandusky. The warnings that we put out regarding this individual went completely unheeded. Flores was charged with lewd molestation February 13th after a relative complained that Flores had molested her 9-year-old son. He was taken to the Cleveland County Jail. Flores, 30 of Norman, admitted to touching the boy on his penis on 3 occasions, said a Norman police detective. Parents say since 2012 they have registered numerous complaints against Flores and Carolyn Shave, the former teacher in the special needs class where Flores worked. They point to allegations contained in at least 3 federal lawsuits and 1 state lawsuit since 2007. Among other things, those lawsuits allege that Shave forced a male elementary school special needs student to take her clothes off and massage her when other children were at recess. They also allege that Flores slammed a special needs student's head through glass, and that Flores and Shave used improper strangleholds on children and punished them by placing them in a dark isolation room, tying them down, or placing socks in their mouths and pressing their heads and their bodies against the floor for extended times. Karen Long, an attorney for the school district, said allegations made and lawsuits aren't necessarily true. The district settled all federal lawsuits out of court with confidentiality agreements prohibiting these litigants from revealing the amounts of the settlements or discussing the evidence in the case. Flores and Shave worked in a classroom for emotionally disturbed students. Allegations of child abuse should be considered in the context, says Norman Public School attorney. Shave was a teacher for Norman Public School from August 1983 until September 1987, and again from August 92 to October 2006. She submitted her resignation September 26, 2006, the same day that the lawsuit said she was arrested and accused of cultivation of marijuana and hallucinogenic mushrooms, possession of drug paraphernalia, including numerous pipes for illegal substances, and possession of cocaine. She received a 5-year deferred sentence. There is no longer a court record of the case, and indication it may have been expunged. Efforts to re-Shave by telephone were unsuccessful. Flores worked for the Norman Public School from 2001 till the spring of 2010 when he resigned. Parents said they screamed for more than a decade and they were ignored by Norman administration. A decade of these children being abused. This is not okay. I mean, this is so not okay that it's insane. And we're spinning this. Now, let's go back a little bit, and I want you to remember a couple years ago when the 3 teenage girls were raped, and one of the rapes happened at Norman High School, and the Yes All Daughters was formed because of this. Because the school district and administration was not protecting these victims of rape. Students had to walk out at school. I don't know why that's not showing up. Oklahoma students protest bullying of suspected rape victims at school. It says right here, students at Norman High School walk out of classes to protest what they say was a failure by the school administration to take care of 3 girls who accused a male classmate of assaulting them. This is at the administration level. And they're trying really hard to silence me. And if they think that calling Piper's lawyer and telling them that you're unhappy about me talking about this, I'm just going to talk about it more, just so we know. And I'm going to show these articles and I'm going to share them every single day on social media until more victims find me. And when they do, I'm going to organize with them. And I'm going to make sure they get heard. And I'm going to make sure that police reports are filed. And I'm going to make sure that every person who has ever hidden anything like this is held accountable. Just watch me. Why? Because the most dangerous place in the world is between a mother and her child. Norman Public Schools Administration has failed our children. They're failing our children. There are good people in Norman Public Schools. There are good teachers. There are good principals. There are good counselors. I'm not talking about any of them. I'm talking about the ones that cover up for people who hurt children. I bought my house in the neighborhood I bought it in and in Norman Public Schools because I wanted my kids to go here. My oldest daughter served 2 years working directly with the superintendent of Norman Public Schools. And the truth is, I would totally be taking this up with him if he would return my phone calls, if he would return my emails, but he won't. He won't. Remember, it was Norman Public School that filed the lawsuit against us, the parents of the children that were hurt in the bus crash. They dragged us into this. None of us wanted this. But now that we're here, let's fight. Let's fight for our children. Let's fight for their safety. Let's fight for their well-being. And the truth is, I don't trust anyone at the administration of Norman Public Schools. I'm sorry, but I don't. Justin Milner lied to my face when he told me that on the school bus video it showed the principal driving with both hands on the wheel and his phone in his pocket and he was looking straight ahead at the road the whole time. Lies. I've seen the video, I know. What I'm fighting for is for your right to see the video. Again, just cameras 1 and 2. 1 and 2, that's it. You won't see the kids. You will just see the cause of that bus crash and the actions and inactions of the adults we entrusted our children with immediately after. But if you think that because no one was fired over that bus crash, it means that nothing wrong happened, I give you all of these articles that are cover-ups. Robert Davis, assistant principal, arrested for drugging and raping women and molesting the women of a child of one of his victims. Norman High School teacher fired for inappropriate text messages to student, which was actually soliciting a relationship with a student. Joseph Leon Love, Longfellow Middle School, arrested for soliciting sex with a child, possession of child pornography, and possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. Christopher Ray Flores, Wilson Elementary, molestation and physical abuse. Vicki Llewellyn, 2 counts of forcible sodomy and 2 counts of rape. Her charges, Norman North science teacher and coach. And then you have the rape cases, the failure of the administration to protect the victims of rape, and the formation of Yes All Daughters. So please, if you are a parent in Norman Public Schools and you believe that if it was really that bad, or if I was really telling the truth, in no way would these people still have jobs, I give you Exhibit A, B, C, D, E. There needs to be transparency and accountability in our schools. And they're not going to offer it to us. We have to fight for it. That is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. I realize this video has been a little more angry than I meant it to, but you have to understand, knowing someone hurt your child and then watching them not be held accountable and watching the people in power protect those accountable, those responsible for it, and that no one is being held accountable is one of the most difficult things I've ever done. It is. And then to have Norman Public School Administration watching my social media, hey, you're going to love this video, guys. And then having your lawyers call Piper's lawyer, there's this thing called the First Amendment, and everything I'm saying is true, and I'm giving you sources. Now, what I will tell you is there are certainly rumors of another sexual abuse and molestation charges running around. More than a few. There's rumors that a specific Norman Public School employee was found in a hotel room with a teenager. But as it turned out, that teenager was actually 19, so no law was broken. Those are rumors. I can't prove them yet. So my point is this: do the right thing and protect our children, or I'm going to empower a bunch of moms and we will do it. Plain and simple. Transparency and accountability. Our children have the right to be safe at school.